Alright, hello, we are back with SKT and Samsung Gaming Game 2 for the World Finals here, 2017. So we're doing analysis. And compared to the first game, there's a lot of similarities. You actually see the same bands come out for the same reasons. So it's very interesting that both teams prioritizing the same exact thing. And this time, SKT actually chose to be red side, um, and they actually go ahead and they pick Varus Gragas again. So maybe they're thinking, okay, we didn't secure the early game last time, or we didn't secure any kind of picks, or find opportunities, because you definitely have long range engage with Gragas Varus. Just these ultimate, the Gragas ult, the E flash Gragas, and then ult. But then you see the same exact draft coming out from Samsung Galaxy. They say, we're comfortable with this. It won last time. This is our God comp. Crown is really comfortable on it. SK Telecom won. Go ahead and they pick Lulu again. They say, all right, this is fine. We can do this again. Maybe we can fix it this time. They go ahead and they ban Shen again. Syndra gets banned out again. But instead of, I don't know who they banned last time for the second ban, but it was not Zach. It definitely was not Zach. Actually, all same bands and all same picks coming out from Samsung Galaxy. They're just not going to be able to pick the Zach. So you see the Rise coming out. So the Rise is going to be delivered to the Faker. So Rise is going to be definitely looking for like mid-game acceleration and lots of picks. So they're definitely trying to play that mid-game powerhouse, and Rise is going to definitely provide a lot of DPS for that. And his ultimate, especially after level 11, is going to provide like it can provide very unexpected plays to catch Samsung Galaxy out on rotations or other manner. Samsung Galaxy go ahead and they pick the J4 this game. The J4 was actually banned last time. They banned Zac this time. They prioritized that heavily. So they're going to have a really similar team comp, but this time they're going to go with the Gnar, and the Gnar is going to be, instead of for dedicated split pushing, he's going to be for that that power for team fight. So you're going to see team fight and long range engage coming out rather than, or well, Zac provided long range engage as well. So it's basically the same thing with Jarvan. It's just not going to be as good, and it's going to be physical damage instead. And then Cuvée is not going to be winning this top lane. So there's two things that we have to talk about that are different than last game, because you definitely know that after level 6, bot lane is going to push into this bot lane. So those two things we need to worry about are Yasuo and Gnar. So Yasuo can actually be greater than Gnar and force Gnar off, and then actually be up like 10 CS at 10 minutes. And then Rise is actually a pretty good pick into Malzahar. I would say Rise is definitely greater than Malzahar in the early game. This does not mean that Malzahar is unable to kill Rise, because it's not a matchup where like Rise is much greater than Malzahar. It's actually not by much. The margin is probably plus or minus a value of say 0.5. And I have a value system, but a value system is very hard to upkeep, so I won't go into detail in explaining that. But Rise can definitely be even on CS, and if Rise pushes in Malzahar into the tower, Malzahar is not good at CSing under tower, and Rise can actually get a 10 CS plus lead depending on like how good Faker is compared to Crown. And then the difference in the jungle is actually going to be that Gragas is going to be very comfortable ganking top lane. He's going to be very comfortable ganking mid lane. And then he just has to protect bottom lane. He's actually not going to go into mid lane or go into bot lane aggressively, but rather defensively, unless he picks a very early gank in bottom lane. But he probably might hold these early ganks for Huni, just because getting Yasuo ahead in early can allow Yasuo to snowball and win easily. Ambition's playing Jarvan. So in this situation, he has the exact same team comp. The only thing is, Gnar is going to naturally lose the top lane, but when he naturally loses the top lane, Yasuo is not going to be like ungankable. He's going to be definitely difficult to gank, but not ungankable. So he can gank top lane. He can also gank defensively mid game or mid lane, but really what he's looking for is that bot lane after level 6. He's going to be focusing on that. So let's go ahead and get in the game. Not too much different from last game. Ryze is going to be starting that Sapphire Crystal, which is going to be really interesting. It gives him a little bit of damage, and it gives him the ability to like stay in lane for a while, and then he actually has the ability to buy the refillable potion, which is very efficient, even though it doesn't necessarily provide as much healing per se as 3 pots. It's actually only going to provide two procs of 120 HP, but not 3 different procs of much more of 150 or so. SKT pushing into the enemy jungle are going to be looking for an early invade. They want to put pressure off of this. And the Yasuo level 1 is definitely strong. Huni goes in, misses his Q, and is going to be backing out a little bit. Jarvan goes ahead and throws the E down. Now they know that Jarvan has E, and they go ahead and they go in the jungle. Peanut dashes forward with his E and gets flash out of J4. This is really good because it actually means that J4 up until the I don't know if he has the reduced cooldown, but he's probably going to be about until 6 minutes without flash. Cuvée actually loses flash too, which means he is actually going to be heavily in danger in top lane. So you'll probably see Gragas move from blue to top lane, and then to red, back to top lane, and then back to blue on his side. We are going to see Lulu come up and try and defend the blue here. Ambition can't really take that very safely. J4's level 2 is good, but it's not going to be enough to really secure and be safe in that invade. That was actually really tricky by Faker here. I think Faker, hold on, look at how close he walks. He actually, I don't know if he's actually close enough to see that this Raptor's missing, so he knows that Ambition is actually doing Raptors right now. But that is very incredible microplay. Ambition without a blue is not going to be doing very well. Huni's going to be hard engaging on the Cuvée, and he's going to be missing CS for it. We actually see a CS lead that's going to be developing for Cuvée here of 5 minions, but that could actually be reversed just because Huni has flash and Kive does not. We also know that Kive was like 1 minion ahead on experience because he teleported back to lane while Huni was leashing Peanut at the enemy blue. So he's maybe not entirely in control of his lane, and will definitely be weak to any kind of aggression that Huni is able to put forth. Kive went ahead and he took out his own red plant because he knew Gragas was in his jungle, because he doesn't want to get caught off guard by Gragas. Goes ahead and stops Peanut's recall, delays Peanut a little bit, but Peanut with that realizes that there's a ward there, goes ahead and pings that, and he's going to be moving down towards his bottom side of the map where he can go ahead and get his own blue buff. And it's definitely important to note that Gragas is still level 3, and Samsung definitely know that his blue buff is up right now. Ambition's currently taking the Scuttle Crab, so he is going to be in control of the jungle a little bit there. Faker CSing mid lane. Faker's got 4 CS ahead of Malzahar right now. That may increase a few minions due to the wave is currently pushed into him. All he has to do is just not push very quickly. And in the bot lane, CS is very, very, very even. And you're probably going to see it stay that way. There's going to be a lot more respect coming out from both teams in the second game with the same matchup. As they knew the tricks that they pulled in the last game. They're not going to succumb to those tricks again in this game. Good CSing by Faker, using his shield so he can get harass. Is going to go ahead and play forward, takes the damage from Malzahar's E, Malefic Visions, but is actually able to trade a very good amount of damage before Malefic Visions comes off cooldown, and is really using his Runic Affinity, his passive, to try and abuse Malzahar as much as possible. He's saying, I can duel you because I have the shield, and I'm only going to duel you when I have my shield. He's very in control of the lane. It's also important to note that Faker is Storm Raider Surge again, so he's definitely looking for those early mid plays. But he's not going to be too aggressive. He's just going to be focusing on when he can get them, because he needs to be very selective in the fights that he takes. Yeah. It's interesting. Jarvan has Storm Raider Surge, so he's definitely going Bursty in the early. Bursty J4, he's definitely going to go like Warrior or something. It's also important to note that the junglers haven't really backed yet. Peanut's trying to get as much counter jungling as possible, which is really good for him. Like, he doesn't have more CS because I don't think he's been focusing on Wraiths or anything like that, and he hasn't taken his Golems, which actually are 1, 3, 6. They're 10 minions, so those Golems would actually make the difference. And Gragas is like pretty good at taking golems, so I'm sure he'll be around that eventually. Bot lane is being played very patiently. Faker's going to be trying to get this pink ward down. Peanut's going to be roaming towards the mid lane. Faker goes ahead and he grabs Crown. Going to be getting a decent amount of damage off. Peanut goes ahead and follows. Crown actually flash ults, and Faker flashes immediately to counter his ult. I'm interested because I think that after Crown didn't have ult, because J4 is not level 6, Faker and Peanut might actually be able to play aggressive in this matchup, in this 2v2, just because without the Malzahar ult and without the J4 ult, they're actually lacking a lot of damage. And they're lacking a lot of determined damage, or confirmed. Because with that confirmed damage, they would normally be able to kill someone. Like if Faker had actually gotten ulted here, rather than where he flashed to over the wall, then there would be a lot more danger on him, and he actually may have died. And with this pressure, Peanut's actually going to be looking for the enemy red buff. I don't think he's going to go in for it unless Faker roams down, but he's definitely going to be moving towards the enemy Wraith camp. And he's going to be counter jungling. He does not want J4 to be anywhere near him in experience or comfortability. Because if he can keep J4 in an uncomfortable position, he'll just deny J4 from doing anything until J4 has the capability. And removing the capability from J4 and his engage allows for a lot of disparity. Wow, a very, very good tower dive coming out from SKT. So this is what I was talking about in the pregame with the making plays with Ryze ultimate. So they come into vision, but because as soon as they come into vision, they cast Ryze ult, they're able to tower dive, and they actually pair the Gragas ult with the Yasuo ult. And it actually does not allow for Crown to do anything, and Crown has no flash because he used it aggressively to try and kill Faker. So SKT definitely showing good coordination and understanding how to force plays, which is definitely a reason why Samsung Gaming is very adamant about not giving Faker Talia, because if they gave Faker Talia, he would be able to make a lot of similar plays with map pressure. Here it is again. Yasuo E takes down Crown's passive, and the Gragas ult comes, and while Ryze is dealing out damage, when he goes ahead and gets the ultimate while Crown's in midair. So as for recent changes on the map, there's actually still going to be a CS lead, a tiny CS lead for Gnar, which is really interesting. Gnar must be playing the lane very well, as Cuvée, Yasuo tends to win this lane, but it's a very skill heavy matchup for Yasuo. Like it's very high risk, high reward, but taking the risk, you can do a lot. Bang is actually developing quite a good CS lead over Ruler in the lane, and they actually haven't backed yet, so that's why SKT actually has the favor in this lane. And I think that Samsung don't want to back because they realize that if they back, they might lose this bottom tower. So you see Ambition moving towards the bottom side of the map. It would actually be really interesting here for SKT to make a play in this bottom lane to let Ruler and Core JJ maybe have some breathing room and try to make a play with Realm Warp again on Ryze's ultimate. Because if they can Ryze ult onto the tower and play around the Gragas ult, then they can actually make a pretty heavy force. On another hand, since they know J4 is in the bottom side of the map, I would actually expect Gragas or Ryze to move up to the top side of the map and then take this top tower as first blood tower for free. And if they get that first blood tower, they're actually going to increase their gold lead by quite a bit, as it's not just the 750 gold, it's about 500 or 600 gold for just a person who was local gold. Okay, SKT actually go ahead and they make a play on the bottom lane tower, which isn't what I'm expecting here. And they group up, and Ambition's actually able to hit a 3-man ultimate, and they get 3 flashes and a Lulu heal out of out of that play, and that play actually removes a lot of power from SKT, because you'd argue that SKT loses a large amount of tempo. And actually, due to that play, you notice that Bang and Wolf, neither of them have Flash, but Ruler and Core JJ have Flash. And now that Ruler and Core JJ, or at least Ruler has backed, Core JJ is probably about to back. Now that they have backed, they're going to be able to beat Varus Lulu. So Chaya, Janna is greater than Varus Lulu. And they're going to be able to push back on this bottom tower, which means Gragas should be putting pressure on this enemy top tower, because they really need to get that first blood tower before the Chaya and Janna are able to do something in the bottom lane that would allow them to have that. And what would actually happen here is SKT can take this top tower, and if SKT takes top tower, then they can move on to Rift Herald, and Jarvan may actually go bottom lane with Malzahar, and maybe they'll take bottom tower in exchange for top tower, and then go to Dragon in exchange for Rift Herald. So a couple complicated processes could occur, but the permutations are there are definitely a lot of them. As for lane matchups, CS seems to be even in top lane now, but Ryze is ahead by 20, a little bit more than 20, and Varus is ahead by 15. So you are seeing a good lead for SKT coming out, so definitely they have a little bit of strength. And Varus actually does have his versed item. I did say earlier that Ruler and Core JJ could beat Bang and Wolf because of the matchup, but because Varus actually has Ginsu's finished, and Chaya does not have Essence Reaver, they actually have a little bit of pressure in this lane. They need to be really careful about it though. Yeah, Bang just got caught out pretty bad. Looks like Lulu is actually going to be able to keep him alive though. But now Lulu is actually at low mana, and they're going to want to go back onto this dragon. But if they're going onto this dragon, they actually don't have a teleport for the top lane. So top lane tower is going to be losing a lot. But it is high enough health, and maybe they knew this, that Gnar is actually not able to take it, because remember, Gnar does not take towers very quickly. So like tower pressure is low. And because his tower pressure is low, Yasuo is able to rotate back to the top side. But Yasuo is actually stuck in this lane now. If you notice, he actually has two Doran's swords, Doran's blades, and he has Berserker's Greaves, so that he's able to jump onto Gnar really easily. But he's not exactly in a position where he can back right now, because if he backs, Cuvée could take the tower because he doesn't have teleport. So after this Gragas back here, Gragas should be rotating top lane and allowing Huni to back, or rotating top lane and then pushing this enemy tower in, and then that would again allow Huni to back, and it would relieve the pressure of first blood tower, which is really important. Crown fucking making the blue buff reset. Spent like half his mana bar on fucking taking blue buff, but it doesn't matter. So, Now that Chaya has Essence Reaver, they're going to have some pressure in the bottom lane. We see Gragas actually hovering in the mid lane, and Ryze and Gragas actually favor this 2v2. And they have Lulu hovering, so they have a lot of pressure and they're pushing in. Malzahar and J4 are actually opting for a back here, so this may be the time that SKT rotates top to go ahead and get this tower. And it looks like they actually teleport in Faker with Realm Warp to go ahead and catch out Cuvee. Yasuo's just going to go on the top tower and take the top tower by himself. And there's the Gragas ult and the EW combo from Faker, which gives a 2-second snare. So Yasuo, or Gnar really couldn't do anything there. But very, very good pacing by SKT. Let's actually do a little bit of a breakdown of this. So Ambition and Crown are backing because Crown has been waiting to back for a while, and Ambition just got really, really low. They actually spot out Cuvee in the jungle here, and they realize that he's just taken Scuttle Crab, and Cuvee actually passes through a ward right here, and because he passes through this ward, and Yasuo sees him, Faker goes ahead and he Realm Warps into the corner. Now let's look at the positioning of Faker. Now with Faker here, and Huni here, and Peanut here, they've effectively cut off this path that Gnar would originally take. Gnar would originally walk down his lane and feel a lot more safe. But instead, Huni has access, or instead, Cuvee jumps over the wall, and he thinks maybe I can get away, and he still has flash. But what Faker does is Faker flashes right here, and what this does is while Cuvee's right here, on this side, I'll give Cuvee a blue circle for now. If Cuvee were to flash over the wall here, Huni would dive on him here, and Peanut would dive on him here and converge like that. And if he stays here, Peanut's going to converge on him like that, and Huni's going to converge on him like that, or Huni's going to wait on this side of the wall because they know that Cuvee had flash. Instead, Cuvee tries to flash over this wall, but in this case, Peanut actually takes the long way around. I'm drawing on the mini-map now, so it's going to be a little bit smaller. He takes the long way around, Ryze takes the short way, and Yasuo goes towards the tower. So this is very, very good forcing by SKT. They were very aware of their potential. They were very aware of the backs that Samsung had taken, and they knew that this lead would actually give them potency, especially giving the Yasuo prime time to push the top lane tower, get an extra wave, and know how to force. So fast forwarding a little bit, SKT, so is the first dragon. Yasuo, did he solo the, yeah, Yasuo soloed the Rift Herald. So SKT's actually at a huge potential lead right now. So the lead is, as the lead stands, it's 30.5 versus 27.7. Which is, you know, that's 3,000. But with the Rift Herald, if they push a tower with the Rift Herald, then that 30,000 turns into about 3,750 plus local gold. Or, well, I guess it would be about 3,750 because that's the lead is about 200 under 3,000. So the local gold being 150 allows for the gold lead to be at that 4,000 mark. And that 4,000 mark would actually allow SKT to really make big plays in force fights because they'd be so far ahead in every lane that Samsung doesn't really have anything to do about it. And the only thing Samsung can rely on is the Chaya. So here is where the game gets interesting. They actually chase Jarvan into the jungle. They spot out Jarvan and they say, we want to get Jarvan. So they use Ryze ult and they Realm Warp in, and Ryze is from the mid lane, and he cuts off this path. Ambition can no longer go this way, he has to go this way. but that's not a problem for him because he's J4. So once Rise Realm Wart's in, Bang actually flashes forward and goes on to Ambition. And I think SKT is a little bit confused at this point because Bang has put himself in a position where he's going to die. So let's look at that again. Bang's here. Bang sees Core JJ. Get down. Hold on. I need to get the frame. Okay. This teleport starts. Core JJ and Ruler are here. Malzahar is actually spotted by this ward, so they know that it's going to be a 5v5 fight if the Yasuo teleports in, but Yasuo can't teleport in anywhere except for here. And there's no other red wards. He could teleport in the enemy jungle, but a red ward needs to be placed down. Bang actually makes the decision to flash from here to catch out Ambition with his R. Strangle or Chain of Corruption. If he catches Ambition out with Chain of Corruption, SKT could pile onto Ambition and possibly burst Ambition fairly easily. The problem is Ambition is actually focused a lot of magic resistance and health and not really any armor. And Varus actually does do a very large amount of magic damage right now as a percentage of his whole damage. And because of this, they actually might not have the damage to kill Ambition very quickly. And if they can't burst Ambition very quickly, it's a very bad idea to engage onto Ambition, but rather it would be smarter to actually go down and engage onto Core JJ and Ruler. Or it would be a good idea to completely disengage and run upwards, or run this way and use Gragas ult to disengage, as they've now put themselves in a position where they can't get out because they have no Realm Warp, and because they have no Realm Warp, they can't teleport everyone out. No one's particularly safe. So Bang goes in, and at that point that Bang goes in, I really think that Wolf should have actually stayed up with Faker, because now that Core JJ and Ruler are focused on Bang, they can just give Bang away. And if they give Bang away, they can run towards mid lane and say, okay, QV used teleport, so they're going to be down a teleport, and we still have teleport on Huni, and we can go ahead and send Huni bottom, and we can stay mid, and eventually we'll send Faker top, and we'll have Faker sitting over here while we have Bang and Wolf mid lane and Huni in the bottom lane, and they're going to try and set up that maybe 1-3-1 where they can get towers very easily. But they don't decide to do that. They say, okay, we're really confused. And this is it's very apparent that they're confused. I mean, I would be confused too if my ADC made a decision by himself, because I can guarantee you that this flash was Bang's decision. This was Bang's decision. It wasn't Faker's decision. It wasn't Peanut's decision. It was Bang's decision. And you can tell it's Bang's decision because Faker and Peanut and Wolf, they're all dancing over here, and they're like, what the fuck is Bang doing? And you can see that their pathing is confused. Faker is walking back towards, but he really doesn't want to, and that's why he's walking back. Then he gets Gnar ulted in there, and he can get a lot of damage on the Gnar. But Ruler actually goes ahead and flashes with the Chaya ultimate. Let's go ahead and watch that again. Flashes while she's in the invulnerable stage to flash forward and get the stun onto Faker, and then they go ahead and get a second kill. And now that SKT is down 2 people, Samsung is going to go ahead and look for gold, and they can't really get any gold anywhere immediately, so they go ahead and they take what they have and back. Huni goes ahead and he moves into the bot lane. Okay, this is exactly what I was saying. Send Ryze top, send 3 mid, send Huni bot. This is exactly what SKT wants. And they go ahead and SKT pops the Rift Herald in the bottom lane. I don't know if he needed to pop that then. I don't know how long he's been holding on to Rift Herald, but you can hold on to Rift Herald for 4 minutes. Huni does not step forward to make sure that Rift Herald hits the next tower with full health. But it does hit the next tower. It's just good. I think Cuvée was able to hit the eye, so it wasn't as strong. So there's another mountain drake, and I'll remind you that there were 3 mountain drakes and a water drake last game, and there's going to be a second mountain drake this game. So we've had 6 dragons, and 5 of them are mountain drakes, which is very odd. Huni's going to be starting this mountain drake as soon as it spawns, and getting a lot of damage on that. He doesn't have 100% crit chance yet, but he does have the BF sword, so he's able to take that down very quickly. Peanut goes ahead and engages on Ambition, but Ambition goes ahead and looks in, and he finds the ult onto Bang Wolf and Peanut. And because he finds the ult on Bang Wolf and Peanut, Ruler's actually able to use his ult effectively, and get the stun on the root on 3 people and do insane amounts of damage. And if you see this, Ambition actually flashes forward and cues back to his pipe. So let's watch that again from the beginning. He engages in, Jarvan ult, Chaya ult comes out, flashes backward, and then cues back to his original E, so that he's able to secure the kill on the Bang, Wolf, and Peanut. And then Faker and Huni are going to be taken out because now that they have no team, they can't do anything. And it's a clean ace, with the exception of Ambition. And Samsung can actually move towards Baron, and because they have lots of DPS, they can take Baron for free, and now the game is completely changed. So let's go ahead and look at how this occurred. We see that SKT is 35.400 gold, and Samsung has 32,800. So there's definitely like a 2,500 gold lead or so. And SKT is looking for an aggressive pick. They just got Dragon. But are they able to really do something? The real question is whether or not they can pace themselves and play simply. But look at the pathing here. You actually see Wolf is on the wall, Peanut's moving towards Ruler, and Bang is moving towards Ruler, and they don't actually pay attention to Jarvan at all, and that is allowing Jarvan to actually move up on them, and they group up for the Jarvan ult. So if that Jarvan ult actually didn't hit, they might be a lot more comfortable in this team fight, because Jarvan was actually able to do a lot of damage to the backline and force the Chaya ult to be very potent as well. And now SKT is down with the Baron. Now they're down 38-7 to 36-7. So they're down 2,000 gold, and they're down a Baron buff. So for 3 minutes, 4 people on Samsung, or well, actually, was J4 alive? Oh my god, J4 was alive for the Baron buff. So they have 5 people with Baron, and at the 22-minute mark, 5 people with Baron is going to give you another like 2,000 or so gold in stats. So you see a 4,000 gold lead, Baron buff, Samsung, and really there's not much SKT can do about that while they have Baron buff. So if SKT lose enough towers for there to be a significant gold lead in the next 3.5 minutes, then SKT could very well lose the game off of that very one play. So you see top lane tower go down, and then you see bot lane tower go down, and remember that's already 1,500 gold. So now you could argue that they're 2,000, 4,000, 5,500 gold down, and then they whittle down bottom tower, so that's 6,250 gold or 6,300 gold. Then they're about 7,000 gold ahead, and then they rotate top and they get top tower, and now they're about 8,000 gold ahead. with the Baron buff, and once the Baron buff goes away, there's still 6,000 gold ahead. And really, to get a win condition, you really need around that 5,000 gold mark, and sometimes even 4,000, unless you're a late game team comp and it's in the late game. But this is far from late game. You see people with 2 items, not 6, so, or well, 2 items in their boots. So like they could still build 3 items, and that's just long time before there's really an even game again. So Samsung really won this game off of SKT making 2 mistakes, and those 2 mistakes both involved Bang. So it's actually really interesting that Bang had an incredible laning phase this game. Well, in lane, but caused major problems for the team. It could also be noted that Huni was not able to win the lane matchup in top lane. Which arguably could have been in part due to the fact that Peanut didn't help pressure as much. He was really only winning for the first 10 minutes. And even then, he's still not ahead a lot of CS at this point. So he wasn't able to take that lead and snowball it, and he wasn't able to really shut down this matchup just by picking that champion. And you could definitely put blame onto Peanut as well, because Peanut, although he found success this game, he found more success than last game. He just wasn't able to provide the pressure necessary. And they're very like interesting team fight decisions made by SKT. Arguably, you could say that both times they were looking for a fight, they actually had fighting potential. But you could also say that even though they had fighting potential, it wasn't necessarily it wasn't mandatory for them to fight. They didn't need to fight. They could have just kept snowballing their lead, just kind of how like last game, Samsung didn't get any kills before they got like 5 towers. They got like 5 towers before they got any kills, because they didn't need the kills, and SKT really didn't need the kills either. But once they had those fights and they made mechanical errors, and positioning mistakes, and targeting mistakes, and like a flash ult from Varus that was not fruitful, because it wasn't on the right target, and it wasn't, and it put him in a bad position, and it wasted his flash at the beginning of the team fight. So he just was not able to do anything. And now at this point in the game, now that they're behind again, and SSG now actually has, you could argue that SSG actually has a better late game team comp, just because now that they have the Malzahar in a more comfortable position where he doesn't have to 1-3-1, he can actually just follow Gnar and Jarvan around, and Gnar and Jarvan make the engage, Malzahar and Chaya follow up, and then Janna secures that team fight presence. And you don't really see SKT team fighting unless Huni has 6 items. And even then, it would be incredibly difficult to execute. But we could definitely argue that many mistakes were made by SKT, and including the vision game. SKT's vision game did not improve from last game. and once they lost that Baron there, they pretty much lose. SSG has to be really careful because they are still potent in damage, but if they are able to get a good engage with Gnar, if Gnar gets Mega Gnar, then they do win a team fight. It's just that Gnar was in mini Gnar there, so they didn't have complete control over the team fight. So Samsung is Baron again. They go ahead and they go mid lane. They take that for free. Looks like they're just going to do the same thing in the top lane, keep mid lane pushed, and they actually have QV in the bottom lane. And SKT really doesn't have any options here, because now that they're down 8,000 gold and a Baron, there is actually no realistic way to say that they could fight. It would be very, very unexpected, because it's not a team comp that necessarily has a wombo combo, and wombo combos are readable. It's a team comp that's very highly mechanically based. I mean, Varus is very, very difficult to play. Yasuo is very, very, very difficult to play at a high level. And Gragas is not exactly the easiest champion either. And Ryze requires very near perfect positioning in order to stay very potent. So SKT goes ahead and they lose all 3 inhibitors. And here's the engage from Jarvan. Onto the back line. 3-man ult again. Ambition really played amazing this game. And Huni trying to get into the back line, but just gets melted. And he doesn't really do any kind of significant damage. Wow. Very incredible gameplay coming out from Samsung Gaming. They really are good at limiting the opportunities that SKT is allowed to have. And they're good at baiting and fishing. So really, and it was actually at around the 10-minute mark of this game, before even the Varus play, before the bad Varus play, where I was really thinking to myself, Samsung might win this game, and Samsung might win the series, just because SKT, although you can have a lot of trust in SKT and understand that they have been the best team in the world, Samsung has shown very, very impressive gameplay this tournament, and are not letting up for the World Finals. This may be the most incredible lead that's been taken over SKT in history, and they do secure it. So we'll be back with Game 3. But thanks for watching. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment any questions, and I'll feel free to answer. All right, thank you.